Well, hello guys, welcome back. It's G-Man, My World 67. I just want to do an update on the layout. I wasn't able to do one yesterday, or I don't think the day before. But anyway, got all that old track tore off, and I've been in the process of putting the new line back on. If you remember, what we were looking at was taking out the crossovers in the short line or the local rail, and we got those taken out. We had one that was here, the way it was configured. There was one that was right here, and then we had the other one was where it went through the tunnel right. Whoops, where's the tunnel? This opening of the tunnel is gone. Well, yeah, I had to cut it out. I was having a problem with the track that I was unaware of. Well, not completely, but it wasn't really a problem until after I got to moving the track around. And then I found that all of this section of track here was loose all the way back about 3/4 of the way down. And I never had gotten that fixed down. And so I had a choice to make. And since this was the problem, the end that I was having the biggest problem on, I went ahead and I cut out this section of the upper level. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to fix it a little differently, as this opened this up. Actually gave us more room over here where the Army base was. And it took a little bit more on this frontage. But then if you remember, the old track actually curved around down through here and came this way anyway. Came across here. And so now that opens that up to where we can get back to that back corner better, and we can begin to do a little stuff back there, even though we might not touch it very often or see it, but now you'll be able to see it a little better. And I'm going to put a little more light back there too, so that will open up to the light, so that we can see back in that corner. By the way, there's also another tunnel back here that no one ever sees that I was going to use. Is I was going to add an auto racing set onto this layout originally, but it worked out I didn't have enough room. And there is another tunnel. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's right there. But I don't think we're going to be using it for trains. As you know, there was quite a few things that became obstacles as I don't get down on my hands and knees anymore. This app's absolutely necessary. And so usually on a layout of even this size, that areas that I can't reach, I would put in trap doors in the bottom of the layout. But with this layout, I was unable to do that. I had one back in this corner here facing the camera where the tunnel opening is. There was originally one there, and I closed it up because I couldn't get back in there to use it. Now that very back tunnel that I just showed you is an open grid tunnel, and so you can actually reach up inside of it and get things from the bottom. I didn't do anything with it. But as for right now, this short line is what we've been working on. Now, what I found is I had a problem in this curve, and it seems like anytime you start working on your track in one area and you get that solved, you have another problem somewhere else. And so I had a problem down in this tunnel on this curve, and I didn't finally figure it out until last night, and I think we've got it solved now, and we're going to find out. We're going to run, before I get started on more construction, we're going to run this .545 tender and 2 cars. You're wondering why I got this rock in there to put a little extra weight in the tender. This tender is ultimately just very, very light. They didn't have any weights in it at all, so it bounces around quite a bit. All right. Here we go. Now, I actually had reconfigured this track on yesterday. That's another problem we have, is right there. And that's what I'm going to be working on this evening. And if I can get that solved in the next hour or so, I'll probably come back and see what we do with that. And start figuring out what I'm going to do on this area of the mountain. It's actually doing quite good right now. I think that's about 40 scale miles per hour. It's actually 70. Just warming up, and we disconnect it. I could have backed up to it, but I've got the control lever set for forward only. You're dealing with these old tracks, and that's what I like about having that lever. Set the camera down for a moment. And actually, I'm going to pull this around on to the straight. Be a little better. When you are dealing with these old tracks, quite often you'll hit spots where it loses connection for a moment, and the E unit will switch out. And so I kind of like having the switch something's dragging, and I don't see it. There it is. That's the thing about these link couplers. They work great. But when they're not in line with one another, you got a problem. Anyway, I've got this one spot right here. And I tried to adjust it last night before I went in. I didn't get it. And I think I'm going to have to put another screw in and adjust the height of that track. I think that's what the problem is. But anyway, that's all that I have for you for now. We're going to try to get this up and going. Hopefully, I have not tested this switch over here yet, going through it since I put it on, because I've had to shift everything from this side of the layout to the other side of the layout, and it's laying on the tracks. So until I get this changed back around and start populating this, I'll not be able to run a test run right away on that outside track. The only changes I made to it was putting that switch in, and I had to make a slight adjustment on where I put it, as I put it back further as you look to the video to your left. The original switch that I had put in sat right about here. Which made this section of track set right about here. And then by reconfiguring all of this down here, it allowed me to push that track that way and gave me a much bigger surface again for the town itself to set up in. And gave me a nice yard for my trains. Now hopefully, if it works out correctly, this line will also be behind the station, and I'm going to have a platform here. All right, that's all I have for you for now. This is update number 2 on the layout changes for 2020. As always, happy rails until next time. It's G-Man. Bye for now.